Hi, welcome to the webinar about interest, skills and values and where your degree can take you. Today I'm going to focus on self-awareness and how that impacts decision making, how that helps with exploring options for careers and what employers are looking for. So the model that we focus on focuses on developing your self-awareness and understanding what's important to you, how you go about exploring your options, how you go about reviewing and making career choices, the action that you need to take to actually get the job that you want, and then how you can continue to gain experience, reflect and review. So our model looks at knowing more about yourself, then knowing the industries or sectors that really interest you, and then the jobs that are important to you. So if we focus on self-awareness first, it's really important for you to know what motivates you. You know, how do you define success? And it's really good throughout life to continue to reassess this, because this can change as you go through life, and it's really important to know what makes you happy, because you do spend a fair bit of time at work, so it's great to have a job that you're really interested in. So why do we need to know about values, skills and interests? Well, values are really important to drive your decisions around the sectors or industries and the organisations that you'd like to work with. Interests are important for selecting the work that's going to be interesting for you. And skills are really important to know because they are important to determine your choice of job and the content of the work that you do. So we'll focus first on those, the interests, skills and values. So what sort of language would we be using when we talk about this? So if we're talking about my interests, we're talking about things like I really like this, or my favourite course is this, or I'm interested in. Whereas skills are focused more on I can do this, or I'm good at this, or I do well in this. Values are different again because they're what's important to you. So it might be, you know, it's important for me to work with things that yield results. So that's achievement. Or could be contributing to the betterment of the world is important for me. And that's about helping society. So we have some ways that we can help you identify your values. If you're really keen to look at that now, even before you've come to ANU, I've put a link on the slide there that you can access. But once you're enrolled and you have a uni ID, you can come along and see us for a careers appointment, and we'll actually get you to fill out a questionnaire about your values. The next part looks at the different levels, the different sectors or industries that you might be interested in. So if we start with government or public service, there's 3 different levels of government, and often people just focus on the national government or Australian public service, but there's also state and territory governments and local government or local councils. And the focus is slightly different. At the Commonwealth level, you're focused more nationally. At the state and territory level, you're focused more at the state territory level, and local councils are focused in their local council area. So your values are going to determine, you know, where your interests lie. So it might lie in government if you're particularly interested in providing a service. The not-for-profit sector focuses more on not-for-profit organisations and non-government organisations, so charities, etc. And so you might be interested in working in that because you want to provide a service back to the community or to particular groups in the community. So the private sectors might be important to you because it focuses more on generating profits for your shareholders and giving profits back to the owners. So if you have an interest in a commercial focus in an organisation, you might be interested in the private sector. Other people might be interested in the higher education sector, which universities sit in. So there's universities as well as other organisations that fit within the higher education sector. So it's thinking about, would I like to be an academic where I actually teach and provide research and administration, or would I like to work as a professional staff member where I work within the university environment but in a non-academic sort of role. So there's roles like that that you could apply for whatever degree you study. And last but not least is what we call startups or small to medium enterprises, so small businesses. So you might decide that you'd really like to work independently and you'd like to have your own business, so you might be part of the startup sector. And that's a particularly big sector in Canberra. There's a lot of entrepreneurs and startups in Canberra, so that might be something that you might want to have a look at. So we've talked about the sectors. Now let's focus on the jobs. How do you make decisions about the types of jobs that you might want to work in when you finish your degree? Well, they're really driven by your interests and skills. So we've got a few models that look at interests. So the Hollands model looks at, you know, whether you choose a career where you've got people around you that have similar sort of interests, and you have an opportunity to express your attitudes and values in an enjoyable sort of environment that's suited to you. So we have a model called Hollands that we can share with you once you're a student. The other model looks more at, do you have an interest in helping and advising work, or motivating and influencing, or artistic or creative or innovative work? People are drawn to different interests, and what we find is generally students will have at least 2 or 3 interests, and often these can combine into a job. It's very rare that a job will only focus on one interest anyway. So how do skills then come into play? So skills are things that you can learn. So you can develop your skills through training and education and on-the-job experience. And understanding your skills and the skills you like to use are really important for deciding on the types of jobs that you might want to apply for. So we've talked about the perspective of you, but now we need to think about, well, what are the employers looking for? And what employers are really looking for is people with degrees, obviously, but also degrees from ANU are well received, but they're also looking for you to have done some casual work and some volunteering, because what that does is give you an opportunity to use your skills outside an academic setting, and a lot of those skills can then be transferable to the graduate jobs that you're applying for. So they're looking for 3 things. They're looking for the skills, experience and knowledge that you've gained from your casual work and volunteering and degree. They're looking for passion and motivation and interest in the job that you've applied for, but also for their organisation. And they're also looking for cultural fit, that you will actually fit into the culture of their organisation and contribute to that. And that could be through an alignment of values, your own values and the organisation's values, or contributing to internal initiatives, etc. There's a whole bunch of surveys that are out there about the sort of employability skills that employers are looking for, but they're things like emotional intelligence, creativity, critical thinking. So it's important to think about some of these skills and how you can gain them and how you can use them while you're at university. And there's plenty of opportunities at ANU to actually explore these skills and use them. So the last part that I wanted to talk about is then what are the types of roles that you might then go into? And at a very broad level, there's things like service delivery roles where you're actually providing a service or program directly to a group, whether it be the general public or community. There's program design where you're developing programs for groups, but there's also policy work. You might actually decide you want to go and write policies in your particular area of interest. Or there's people that actually work in technical jobs where they might use their engineering degrees or their science degrees to work in a laboratory or similar sort of setting. And there's also jobs around corporate support, which are jobs that support the organisation, like human resources, marketing, communications and those sort of roles. And last but not least, and difficult at the moment unfortunately, but is overseas opportunities and going and working overseas in a non-government organisation or public sector, etc. overseas. So a lot of students are really attracted to the idea of working overseas, so we can talk about those opportunities as well. So today was just to give you a bit of a snapshot of the sort of things to think about around yourself and the sort of decisions that you can make around where your degree can take you, and we're here to help you, so we'll talk to you a bit more about that later. Thank you.